I'm out here at the homestead in the beautiful Sonoran Desert. My name's Kevin, and this is Cora. We're gonna do some digging. I've got the quick coupler on the machine now, and I'm noticing how the thumb operates a little bit differently depending on whether the coupler's on or not. And I decided that the thumb mod that I had been planning probably really doesn't need to factor in how the thumb lands on the bucket. So I'm going back through and checking my measurements again, and I'm just taking into account the boom and then the thumb cylinder. And here I am, just kind of laying out the same linear place where I want to put the brace, and just noticing that this is probably the biggest brace that I would want to put on there. And you can see where it's gonna hit the boom. You can see that it's clear of the cylinder, and so that's what I'm gonna go with. And at this point, I'm also just kind of noticing how the thumb interacts with the bucket while the quick coupler is on there. And it's funny that the thumb seems so long without the quick coupler, but just that little addition of the length, and now the thumb feels just a little bit short. But it's adequate enough. I'm comfortable enough with that. It's workable. Alright, so now I'm playing around with how to use the quick coupler to switch attachments. And I'm trying to cock that lever back, but it doesn't seem to be working. And I figured out that I just had the bucket curled too much. Alright, so now when I pull that lever back, it worked. And then I'm cocking it so that I can put the next attachment on. And rather than try to put it up there by hand, I decided that I'm gonna manipulate the machine and grab it that way. The way that this rake lays down isn't the easiest target to grab. And also I found that it's a little challenging to see exactly where on the coupler that the pin has to be grabbed. So it's almost like a little bit of guesswork going on here. At this point, I'm picking it up, and it seems like it's on there. And the only way to really know is to tip it back. And then I heard that click, and I thought, oh, I must have got it. But nope. Alright, I cocked the lever again. And we'll try it again. And like I said, this rake kind of lays down flat like that. It's kind of hard to do. But I got it in there again. heard a more definite click that time. But rather than tip it back to test it, I didn't want it to fall off again. So I jumped off, because you can always put them on by hand. So I jumped off to see what's going on. I noticed that it picked up some dirt laying down like that. But it's definitely on there, so that worked. All right, now I'm just looking at how the thumb interfaces with the rake. And it looks like the length is pretty good, like that. Now you can see there that the plate that I'm considering putting on there is going to interfere with one of the teeth. But I decided that having the thumb go through the fork really doesn't have any use anyway, so if I'm using it with the rake, I'm going to probably have something on there that's going to interfere with the thumb first, like it's supposed to work. So I decided that's pretty good. All right, now I'm going to try to pick up the bucket. And like I said before, it's kind of challenging to see what's going on down there while you're sitting up there. And hitting that gap in between the two pins, for some reason, seemed a little more challenging than it probably should. Looks like I had it that time, but I just wasn't sure. And so now I'm reaching down further and I'm grabbing the wrong pin. It's a little frustrating, but as I pick it up, you can kind of see that it's kind of floppy there. And so I kind of realized I was doing that again, because I had tried this a number of times. So I set it back down. And I also found that visualizing it first and then just backing up a little bit kind of helped me get the target. And in this case that did work. So it's just going to take more practice, I think. All right, so this is the change I made to the length of the plate. It's going to be a little bit longer. Go up closer to the boom. Trying to get out as close to the end of the teeth as I can. And I originally had a mobile welder scheduled to come out, and that kind of fell through. So I found a place that's local, and so the reason I'm mapping it out again is so that I can show him what I want. So this is what I came up with. Well, I had some time before I was going to be able to take that to him, so I occupied myself with other things. I did greased all the fittings, and I didn't bother to video it because it's been shown a bunch of times. But I will say that having this, having the cordless grease gun was nice. I like that, so it works pretty well. I also did my first refueling, and I'm using this little pump I got for that racing fuel jug. And I just set it kind of set it up on the track, and then the hose kind of hooks on there, and turn it on, and it starts pumping. It's not super fast. I think it probably took between a minute and 2 minutes, and eventually it just shut itself off. So I had about a gallon left in a can, so it pulled a little over 4 gallons. And so here I verified that the tank is full. And also you can see I only have 8.9 hours on this machine so far. Alright, I'm taking a look here again at this area. I cleaned it all up. I just need a little bit of fill to level it out in order to get the excavator back here. And then going around this corner, you can see where I left off all the manual work that I had done before. And I need to bring enough fill back here so that I can get the excavator through and create another staging area back here. Alright, so now I'm going to learn how to do some loading. And I'm just going to use a wheelbarrow. And I don't have any spoils to load, so I'm digging and loading. The digging part I can pretty much do now, but the loading part, I still haven't worked out the muscle memory and the synchronization of the different controls, so this is kind of painful to watch. And I'm also realizing that having the wheelbarrow sideways like that makes it really more of a challenge to hit. But I did eventually get it done. This time I put the wheelbarrow in a better position to make it easier to hit with the bucket. And also I didn't have to swing so far. So that worked a little better. Well, I certainly need more practice at loading, but I got my new thumb brace welded on, so I got that back on the machine, and I'm going to try it out. Well, I put the thumb to good use. I moved around a good amount of rocks. A lot of smaller ones, but some bigger ones too. And I wasn't shy with the thumb control at all. I pushed it in there, pushed it up against the rocks, and it held up great. You can see there's not really any signs of deflection or deformation or anything like that. So I am really happy with that result, and as far as I'm concerned, this is how this thumb should work.